Welcome, dear viewers. I'm the CouchWarrior, and welcome to the Book of Sable. What is the Book of Sable, you might ask? Well, in fact, actually what this is my version of a Skyrim Let's Play. And I think of it as something like a serial adventure. It's the life story of a man named Sable. He's an aspiring Breton mage with a complicated history, a flawed personality, but a brilliant mind. The way this is going to work is that I'm going to do this as kind of a free-form roleplay. And the idea is I'm going to base all of my in-game decisions based on characters' back history and an ongoing record of our in-game experiences. So basically, I'm the storyteller and just following the story of this Breton named Sable as he adventures through Skyrim, seeking his destiny, so to speak. So what I'm going to do is base this off not only the character's background, but a very brief psychological profile that I'll prepare. And I just use these two documents to make in-game decisions. I'll be linking them from my website, which I'll publish later, and probably also from the show notes of every episode that I produce.
Hey, what village are you
I would
from,
welcome any comments or suggestions that you viewers have out there. I think there's going to be instances where we know that there will be large, sort of life-changing decisions to be made as Sable decides which quests to take, what direction to go. And those are instances where I certainly would welcome any comments or suggestions and would invite you to review his backstory and history in an effort to help make the right decisions for this character. And it'll be interesting to have some discussion around why he might do the things he does based on his life experience. So what's the format for this? Like I said, it's a Let's Play. The intent is that this will be a Let's Play with live commentary. It's going to be organized into chapters, like a book, and there may be some instances where I'll skip some things if I'm traveling from place to place and nothing interesting happens. I may skip those and then pick up the story again once we've entered an area where we know there's going to be an action sequence. However, I'm going to try to record everything. And if there's something happening that would seem to influence how Sable will evolve as a character, as a person, then I'll include that so that we can all have context around what he's doing and why.
Why do you think?
Just a few comments about technical considerations. What you can expect from this Let's Play series is that it's going to be all based on Xbox 360. It's going to contain all the DLC content to date. So it will be Dawnguard, Hearthfire, and Dragonborn. And I am going to make every effort to try to keep the quality as high as I can and continue to improve as I go. I can tell you that at this point, I have all the tools I need to record HD video from my Xbox, and I invested in a good mic. So one of the things that I have to tell you now, in the interest of disclosure, is that I have recorded the first chapters of this story probably all the way through exploration of Bleak Falls Barrow. This has all been pre-recorded, and I did record live commentary at the time that I was making those videos. However, the quality of the audio in the commentary was so terrible that I didn't want to publish it. So what I'm going to be doing for the first few chapters is taking the video that I've already established and recording fresh commentary over the top of it after the fact using a new microphone. So I will make a note in the show notes and also mention it in episodes when the live commentary begins, because that, I think, will probably change the tone a little bit of some of my videos. So we're in character creation now. As I said, I'm going to be going with a Breton, but before I get into a brief explanation of who Sable is, a little bit about who I am. By trade, I'm a user experience designer. I work for a custom software development firm, and I live in the Great White North, Minneapolis, Minnesota. I'm a longtime PC and Xbox gamer, and the things that I like most are custom computers, gadgets, comic books, books, movies, and of course, games. And it's very likely that I will talk about any number of these topics during some of our Let's Play episodes, if I don't know, if the mood strikes me. So let's talk a little bit about who Sable is. And as I mentioned earlier, there will be a written document with this information, but I think it's helpful to share in the prologue what we can expect right out of the gate from this character and what will drive some of my early decisions. Sable is a Breton. He has a gift for magic. He's got a brilliant mind, and my intent with this character is to play him primarily as a mage, but probably something more along the lines of a spell sword. So heavy use of spells and magic, but also one-handed weapons. I think he would have, given his backstory, a particular appreciation for elegant blades. So I'll be looking for nice weaponry and probably sticking with one or two really good, reliable blades during the game. So Sable is born into a Breton family that has basically been indentured servants for generations to a house of high elf nobles. This house of high elf nobles is called the Demart family. And nobody knows for sure why this is, but for generations, Sable's family has served as butlers, maids, footmen for this one noble high elf family. The legend is, or the belief is, that sometime long, long ago, something happened between these two families, and that this high elf family, or this Altmer family, holds some secret over the heads of Sable's family that keeps them in check. Essentially, it's gotten to the point now where over the course of generations, his family has just begun to accept the fact that they're always going to be indentured servants to this noble family. The fact is that Sable's family lives in a beautiful palace on a massive estate, and where basically there are all these luxuries. However, they don't get to partake of many of them. In fact, as is typical for servants in a noble family, they, live in the basement. They work 7 days a week, 16-hour days. And essentially, it has the appearance of the trappings of wealth. It's not the type of existence that a nobleman would have. And this has gone on for generations. So Sable's parents recognize early on that he has a brilliant mind and a gift for learning, and his father goes out of his way to try to smuggle books and anything he can think of out of the nobleman's library and secret those books down in Sable's room so that he can learn on his own. And that's essentially how he educates himself. His father is uneducated and unable to help him, but his father provides him with all the books and the learning materials he needs in order to begin learning on his own. And it's his apparent gift for magic that eventually puts him into a situation of disfavor with the nobleman's children. And there's lots of ridicule. There's lots of uncomfortable situations. There are situations where he's bullied and picked on, but because his family has been so cowed by the Demart family, he's not free to act out. He's not free to essentially get revenge or assert himself in any way. And his father really tries hard to keep that from happening. So over time, this continues, and he continues to learn more and more. But eventually what happens is a situation is created in which he is witness to a crime committed by the nobleman's eldest son, and it becomes convenient for them to basically blame Sable for the crime. The crime is pinned on him, and his father encourages him to run, which he does. And from that point on, he is hunted by Thalmor and sometimes the Imperials in cooperation with the Thalmor to try to bring him back and have him stand trial for this crime that he didn't commit. So this sets the stage for Sable. He spends the better part of his early life wandering Tamriel, hiding from the law, living off the land, begging in cities, working odd jobs, and that is what colors his life and turns him into the person that he is. There's a definite dark side to Sable. There's a side of him that's bitter and bent on revenge, with a huge capacity for violence. However, there's another side of him who is the defender of the weak and a voracious learner, a lover of art and a perfectionist. Probably something of a social chameleon, somebody who is able to essentially go into a city and transform himself into whatever it is he needs to be in order to survive. So that's basically what we've got. And as we all know, the way that Skyrim sets up the story is you start out as a prisoner being accused of being a Stormcloak. Essentially what's happened to Sable is that he's made the decision that in order to stay out of the watchful eye of the Thalmor, he is going to make a run for Skyrim. He knows that Skyrim is in conflict. He knows the Thalmor are there, but he knows that the Thalmor and the Imperials are not in control. His thought is, if he's able to make it to the far north of Skyrim, to the Mages College, he may be able to not only hide there, but spend his time learning more about the magic he loves so much. So that's his objective. He is captured at the border by Thalmor, who instantly recognize him, but are lazy, and rather than electing to haul him back to have him stand trial for his crimes, they decide to turn him over to the Imperials and convince the Imperials that he is a Stormcloak and that he should be executed with the others that have been captured. So when our story picks up, that's where we find Sable, on a wagon, transported here to Helgen, and about to be executed. So that's our backstory. That's a little bit about our character. As I said, I'll reprint this stuff and link it in the show notes so you can review it if you see fit. As I go through this process, there are just so many options here, and I frequently kind of start out with the defaults and then modify from there. I don't do a lot of the cheek and chin and all the really detailed changes and updates. So we've got our character. The other thing worth mentioning here is his first name is Sable, but as an example of how deep this perverted relationship goes between his family and the family of the Altmer nobles, his family has lost their lineage and have taken on the surname of the noble family, the name of Demart. So part of his mission will be to discover not only what he can do, but his own heritage at the same time. I thank you all for listening to the prologue, the first part of the adventures of Sable the Breton Mage. Thank you.